Welcome, welcome. I'm thrilled to see all of you here today. I'm going to say hello to Monsi.
Hi.
Hi there. First of all, let me share why I felt it was important to gather us together at this time. In 1999, I asked Dr. Linda Fox, then serving as the director of the Women's Studies program at IPFW, if we could work together to invite Laylie Miller Moreau, who was the co author of the book Do They Hear You When You Cry, and later the founder of the Tahirih Justice Center, to come to Fort Wayne as a featured speaker for the Women's History Month program. It was a very successful program with several other organizations involved. Zonta, AAUW, the 99s, and Cosmopolites, and several student organizations as well. For several years, Dr. Fox and I, with others, worked together to create an annual Women's History Month program. IPFW and now Purdue University continues to offer annual programs for Women's History Month. Around 2007, I served as the convener to bring a volunteer committee together. We hope to plan an International Women's Day celebration, and we called our committee the International Women's Day Planning Committee. The IWD Planning Committee's last event occurred March 2011, 10 years ago. The beautiful 100 women processional that you will see after I finish took place at that event. And the committee members serving on the IWD Planning Committee at that time were Dr. Janet Badia, Angie Baker, Nancy Brown, Carol and Tom Butler, Jeanette Dillon, Palermo Galindo, Lena Green, Angie Hughes, Mansi Joshi, Marie Madison, Julia Meek, Terry Noon, Marcia Smiley, and Abby Whitner. And some of them are here with us today. So much has happened since 2011. The best thing is that 2020 is in the rearview mirror. And we have new words in our vocabulary, such as Vice President Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams, Greta Thunberg, and Deb Haaland, to name a few. We've also lost so many icons: Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, and the notorious RBG. So, after speaking to some friends, we thought it was time to look back with appreciation and to imagine what we can all still do. Presenters Angie Baker, Dr. Linda Fox, Helen Frost, Emily Guerrero, Chief Condra Ridley, and Toma Tavangar will help and lead us today. Besides our great appreciation for our presenters, I want to thank Ngozi Rogers of Quest and Create Marketing and volunteer Mary Nance, who I met today. She is in Florida, for their awesome tech skills in producing this event and helping it run smoothly. Later, we'll open the floor for your questions and give you time to share your remembrances, tributes, and stories. The Zoom chat is also open right now for you to use for that purpose, although I hope they won't distract you from the beautiful presentations. We've also added just today a silent auction as a result of a beautiful gift from Karen Skold, our friend who lives in Sweden. Again, welcome, welcome. Now let the memories, dreams, and inspirations unfold. Thank you, everyone.
Present International Women's Day Women of the World, and We're starting off with Singapore. And from India. From Nicaragua.
From Japan.
June Baker.
From Romania.
Sylvia Bersan.
From Mexico.
Emily Guerrero.
From Ireland.
Catherine Bloom.
From Germany.
Trixie Fopini.
Also from Germany.
Ilse Heim. Marianne Klapke. Renate Magen. Sally Quake.
From Great Britain.
Diana Jackson.
She's ready for the royal wedding. And from South Korea.
Ashley Chung. Rachel.
Sukyang Elizabeth Chong.
From South Korea.
안녕하세요. 박은하입니다. 신서영입니다.
A Native American from Miami, the Miami Indians.
Lauren Nagy. Catherine Nagy. Mary Jane Cassiano.
Ayanguya Catherine Mowry.
Julia Rhodes.
Miami Indian.
American Indian Cherokee.
Stephanie.
From the Philippines.
Nina Rivera Shaw.
And now we send you down under to Australia.
Lisa Jordan.
From Israel.
Elaine Clappel.
From Hawaii.
Lisa and Miley Smith. Laylee.
From Japan.
Yoko Masaki.
From Iran and Latvia.
Dara.
Ira.
From Bangladesh.
Shatabdi Rohana Kamal.
From Greece.
Ellie.
Kalina.
From Nigeria.
Chief Kandra Ridley.
From Burma.
Yeah, my name is Michelle Wins. I'm from Myanmar.
From Myanmar.
From Myanmar. Min Yoren. My name is Min Yoren. Myanmar.
From Mexico.
Buenas noches, me llamo Rosa Maria Wheeler. Good evening, my name is Rosa Maria Wheeler.
From China.
I'm Zhou Nan from America Travel.
Japan.
こんばんは、PK と申します。こんばんは、大谷素子です。
My name is Mariko Tamura. こんばんは、田村まりです。
My name is Sayaka Gans. こんばんは、ガンズさやかです。
And from Burma.
Hi, my name is Po Darley Fatamoy, and I'm here to represent the Hmong community of Fort Wayne.
From Laos.
Chan Caitlin Vongsu.
อันตัวเทียมคำเป็นประเสริฐแหวน
From Thailand.
Hi, my name is Jerapon Ning Sanderson. I'm representing Thailand.
From Burma.
Hi, my name is Escamilla. I'm from Burma, Myanmar.
And from the United States.
Nina Green, representing Fort Wayne.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say I want to thank publicly Marsha Smiley. You could see her there at the beginning of the processional. She was sitting there as everyone was coming through, but it was an idea that we had to present 100 different women in native costume, and she pretty much single-handedly through her activities with previous race unity events. She had had such connections with different cultural groups in Fort Wayne. And although we didn't make it to 100, there were about 70 women involved. And every time we talk about IWD and mentioned the processional, everyone said, "Hey, I remember that." And a lot of you saw yourselves in that video. So thank you, Marsha Smiley. She deserves all the credit for it. And I also wanted to say several people were so involved, and now they're living somewhere else, including Mansi Joshi, who led the processional. Mansi is now in Maine, and there she is with her newest child. These are our adopted family now, Mansi and her children. There's Ariel, and Leela was there before. So it's like walking down memory lane, how things have changed. All right, thank you.
I am Dr. Linda Fox. When Carol first invited me to participate in this walk down memory lane, I told her that this path for me would be very fuzzy, given the fact that when I relocated to California upon my retirement in 2007, all the records of the great collaborative programming we did together for Women's History Month at IPFW were left behind in office files and since then lost. My memory is also chock full of guests we had on campus as part of the Celebrity Omnibus Lecture Series, since I served on that committee for 12 years, such as Molly Ivins, Janetta Cole, Intisaki Shange, Sarah Weddington, Joy Harjo, Wendy Wasserstein, Azar Nafisi, Betty Friedan, and so many others. I'm not sure when we began to celebrate Women's History Week first, established in 1978, and then month when Congress declared that it would be the entire month of March in 1987. But I bet it was in the late 70s or early 80s, since our minor in women's studies was approved in 1976. 2 years before Women's History Week began. And later our bachelor's degree in 1991. And I will remind you that we were the first of any public university campus in the state of Indiana to offer a bachelor's degree in women's studies. So what still resonates with me most is that visit in 1999 by Layli Miller Muro, who presented the story of Fazia Kasinja and later the founding of Tahirih Justice Center. The book, Do They Hear You When You Cry, was a gripping recounting of this history-making first asylum case in the United States, one on the basis of gender violence. It's the first time I ever stayed up all night reading for pleasure and not for work. But pleasure is hardly the word that's appropriate used to describe what I was feeling upon reading that. Carol and I brought many speakers to campus together, and one of them, whose name I can't recall, there's the fuzziness, was a Baha'i woman from New Mexico, I believe, who initiated workshops for women in need by teaching them how to create butterfly and dragonfly pins, and which eventually found their way to being sold at Neiman Marcus. We even had a trunk show and sold these and gave the profits to that cooperative. Now I've got mine on in honor of our work together. We also, I remember, brought the Peace Quilt to both campus and to the International Village at Three Rivers Festival. I think had been assembled for the Women's Conference in China, and patches contributed by huge diversity of women for that event. Clearly, what brought us together was our advocacy on behalf of equity and equality, symbolized by the quotation regarding both wings of humanity, equivalent in strength. Today, we acknowledge the broader spectrum of gender identities. Yet this aspirational belief applies for every human being and is just and right. From the early times we worked together on Women's History Month and International Women's Day events, to her service as a community member on the Women's Studies self-study in 2005, 2006, that resulted in the subsequent formation of Community Friends of Women's Studies. The following year, in 2006, Carol Butler has been a staunch, exceptionally able, and trusted spearhead and partner in all that she has undertaken. I'm so grateful to her for her 10 years as president of the 501c3 Community Friends of Women's Studies, which has done a lot of good to support students in the Women's Studies program, which is now under Purdue University. While this event is a celebration of the strength and resilience of women, I hope you see in my background Ruth Bader Ginsburg blowing the shofar with a light coming out from it, a call to action, a call to conscience. The service of Mr. Tom Butler as Treasurer Secretary of that organization needs to be recognized and praised as well. The two Butlers were the glue that kept the fledgling organization going for many years. And now it celebrates 15 years of existence in 2021 as it continues to provide financial awards, support, and recognition to women's studies students on campus. While gender equity and equality have a long road to travel still, despite many advances since the 70s, we must be vigilant to protect the gains made. We know all too well how women were written out of history around the globe. Not only here. On this first full day of Passover, in my religious tradition, Jews are told, and I quote, "It is not your responsibility to finish the work of perfecting the world, but you are not free to desist from it either." So onward and upward, adelante. And I thank my dear friend for organizing this celebration. Here's to strong women. May we know them. May we be them. May we love and raise them. And now let us see, I'm closing with a 2-minute video of one of my sheroes, and surely yours as well.
Many people wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. When I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palms of my hands, the need for my care. Because I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, all you women and me.
Love, peace, and blessings to you, beautiful sisters. It is my honor to be able to come to you today and just share a story that I hope will give you a little comic relief for today and just assure you of how wonderful it is to be a woman in this world at this time. So the story that I bring to you is from a collection of folk tales put together by the Honorable Nelson Mandela. It's African folk tales. And this is the story of the cat who came indoors. Now, deep in the jungle, there once lived an adventurous little wild cat. She loved her freedom and her life of excitement, but as time passed, she grew weary of being alone all the time, and she decided to find for herself a companion to share in her adventurous life. She searched all around the jungle until she found another wild cat, as vivacious as herself, and she made him her husband. They were so happy to be together, and Wildcat thought that her wildcat was the finest creature in the jungle. They frolicked every day and enjoyed one another's company. One day, as they were out walking, Leopard pounced on the husband wildcat and left him in a pile of fur and whiskers. Poor little wildcat looked at what was her husband and she said, "Ow, I see that my wildcat is not the finest creature in the jungle. It must be Leopard." And so little wildcat decided that she would make Leopard her companion, and so she left and traveled around the jungle with him. Things went well and life was good. She enjoyed climbing up into the trees where Leopard liked to rest. And one day, as they were out walking around in the savannah, out came Lion, and he devoured Leopard down to the last spot. And poor little wildcat looked at the scene and she said, "Ow, I see that Leopard is not the finest creature in the jungle. It is Lion." And so Wildcat attached herself to Lion. And everywhere Lion went, little Wildcat went along. And things were well as they traveled around the jungle. And of course, the lion was king of the jungle, so life was good. Until one day, as they were resting down by the riverbed, along came Elephant. And Elephant, drum, 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 came closer to the water, and all of a sudden, stop! He stepped right on poor Lion and smashed him flat. When little Wildcat looked and she saw her flattened out lion, she said, "Oh, I see that Lion is not the finest creature in the jungle. It must be Elephant." And so she scampered up Elephant's tail across his back, and she sat right between Elephant's big ears. And that's where she stayed as they traveled around the jungle. Those big ears kept little Wildcat cool, and life was good. One day, as they were out walking through the jungle, they saw a little man, and the little man had what looked like a long stick. All of a sudden, there was a loud pow, and the elephant fell over, bam, and shook all the ground around. Well, little Wildcat looked at Elephant as he lay, and she looked at the little man, and she said, "Oh, I see that Elephant is not the finest creature in the jungle. It must be Man." And so little Wildcat scampered over to the place where Man was, and she followed him all the way home. And the little Wildcat decided when he went into his home, the little thatch roof place that he lived, little Wildcat climbed up on the roof of the house, and she sat there and she would wait until Man would come out, and then she would follow him wherever he went. Now little Wildcat thought surely Man was the finest creature in the jungle, until one day, as the little Wildcat was resting on the roof, she heard some sounds from inside the house. They sounded like rah, 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 rah. And then there was a wah, 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 and another. and then all of a sudden she saw a man come rolling out the front door, and he landed in front of the little hut. And the woman came out the door and she said, "Now don't you come back until you have gotten everything that I say." Well, the little wildcat looked at the man as he picked himself up and dusted himself off and took off down the trail. And the little wildcat looked at the man, and she looked at the woman, and she said, "Oh, I see now that man is not the finest creature in the jungle. It is woman." And so the little wildcat went on inside the thatched house. She sat by the little fireplace, and from then on, Cat has been indoors because she knows most assuredly that the finest creature in the jungle is woman. How right you are. And that's the story. So we can all be very proud to be women in this world, carrying forth the great things that we have before us to do. And we know that whenever women are together, powerful things happen. So thank you all.
That was a beautiful story. Chief Ridley, Condra Ridley, and you're going to see, it's going to look like you and I coordinated. We've never met, but wait till you see the few minutes of comments that I've prepared, because it really is uncanny. Hi everybody, I'm Homa Tavangar, and I'm really honored and delighted to join you, thanks to my dear old friend Carol Butler, who's known me since I was a child in Fort Wayne. And I spent my formative years in Fort Wayne, and now I live just outside Philadelphia, and got to visit you all in, was it 2010 for International Women's Day? And it was such a wonderful experience walking down memory lane. Friends of mine from junior high and all kinds of times in my life had come to the program, and it was just really wonderful. So I am going to share my screen, and I also just want to preface by saying that I wasn't quite sure what to share in the few minutes that I had, but there was something that pulled me to the story that I'm about to share with you, and also just thinking about my own heritage and culture, which I'll share with you. And another coincidence is when you all spoke about Layli Miller Muro speaking at the first International Women's Day and talking about the Tahrir Justice Center. I've just come off of 8 years serving on the board of the Tahrir Justice Center, and it's really special for me to hear that organization is also connected to the memories of International Women's Day. So connected to this story that we just heard about the lion and the power of the female lion. Okay, can I just ask, what screen do you see? Do you see one slide or two right now? Because I can't tell. You see two. Okay, let me switch. Sorry about that. Okay, so now you see one slide. Okay, so I was thinking about what to share, and I was thinking about it. When I lived in Fort Wayne, I was not very proud of my heritage. It was around the time of the Iranian Revolution, and I was an awkward middle school age child, and all I wanted to do was fit in. But now it is exciting to share a little bit from my Iranian heritage. And one interesting word that I have really sort of latched onto is a word in Persian or Farsi that is pronounced Shirzan. Shirzan. And Shirzan is actually exactly who was in that story that was just told. The Shirzan means a lion woman, not just a lioness. And a lion woman, a Shirzan, denotes a powerful, influential, courageous woman who literally owns the ground she inhabits. She is confident about it, and it is a unique word. I don't know that it exists in any other language, and I think that's one of the interesting things about learning from other cultures is that there are certain words that only exist in that language. And so if I teach you one thing today, think of this word, Shir Zen. And particularly, I feel like as we are, most of us, staying home at, during the pandemic and physically distant from each other, I think that we are latching on to our stories more than ever. And stories are important, and memories that we're making. And so when we think of Shir Zen, another aspect that is really interesting about the lion or the lioness is from the West African proverb. And it's, as strong as a lion is, this idea that the lion's story will never be known as long as the hunter is the one to tell it. And so I think there is this incredible power of our strength and knowing our stories and telling our stories, and not only sort of relegating to the back row or to whoever is the so-called victor who gets to tell the story, that we need to be able to tell our own stories and sort of live in our power and inhabit that ground that we stand on. So I just want to share something that I find really useful is a technique from, this is an organization inspired by the lion's story. Dr. Howard Stevenson is a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and he's somebody that I've had the honor of working with. And so this technique that might be useful as a coping strategy. If, and I know as women, we have to carry a lot of different burdens on our shoulders for whatever reason. And so there is this coping strategy from the lion's story. If you receive an offending comment, or it's a way of telling or listening to stories that may be stressful and are rooted in our diverse identities. And it's this CLCBE: calculate, locate, communicate, and then breathe and exhale. And I'll just share this really quick. It'll just take a couple minutes, and hopefully it's a useful thing. But when I think about International Women's Day and month, I think about this growing voice and strength of women around the world and how we can learn from each other. So hopefully this is a helpful technique. So the first step is to calculate. If you think about a stressful situation or a stressful encounter, calculate on a scale from 1 to 10 how stressed out you feel at that moment you're anticipating, engaging, or remembering or sharing what is potentially a stressful encounter. So calculate how you feel on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is I feel really stressed out. 1 is I'm not stressed at all. So calculate and then breathe and exhale. And then locate on your body, where do you feel the most stressed? And breathe and exhale slowly again. And the more specific you can be about the effect of stress on that part of your body, the more you're going to be able to manage it. So locate that. It's basically helping slow down these processes and sort of own your story. And then communicate. What do you say to yourself during the memory or the event? That's communicating to yourself, self-talk. What do you see if you close your eyes and you think of the memory or event of something that was difficult or stressful? That's self-imaging. And then what do you notice about yourself, your thoughts, emotions, body reactions? And do you have someone to share that with? And to be able to tell your story is powerful. And again, breathe and exhale. So this is just a really simple methodology. Calculate, locate, communicate, breathe, and exhale. And it is a way of helping to find and tell and inhabit your own story. And so just to close, to have you notice and think about how might noticing your own story or your own unique experiences empower you to step into yourself as Shirzan, as a lion woman. And so with that, I will stop the share and just wish you all a really happy International Women's Day, month, maybe year, because time has sort of lost, I think, a lot of its significance as we are living in this sort of Zoom space, and wish all of you, Shirzan, all the best. Thank you so much for having me.
I told Carol when she asked me to do a song for everyone, it was going to be a surprise. She didn't want to hear it. And so I started to look back at all of my original songs and to see which one would be the most appropriate for our celebration. And I didn't have too many that were like really uplifting. Like when I used to write back when I started in 1998, I was like very emotional and it was very negative, just trying to clear things, you know, that I had went through. So they're very heartfelt songs, but they're definitely not a celebratory type music. So over the years, it's been kind of hard for me to play some of these songs. So I thought I will just write a story about it. So after Tom and Carol had helped me record my first CD, it was back in 2008, I got so inspired and I started writing a screenplay musical. And I thought I will take all these songs and connect them with characters so they could have an outlet, because they needed an outlet because I didn't want to be the outlet. So I wrote a screenplay and put all the songs to it. And then life just kind of got hectic and I was raising my kids and I just kind of had to put it on the shelf for a while. And it's always been my dream to do the screenplay. I do like to perform, but I just have found that I don't get a lot of joy out of performing. This, I love to perform, but to go out and like what the traditional musicians in this area, they go out to the clubs and they play out till 3 a.m. It just wasn't for me. So I just kind of stay tucked away, and I still write. My music's a little more positive now. So, but I did decide that my favorite song, and through this pandemic, I have I've been playing the song that I wrote back in 2003, and it was called Life on a Dream. And I have really started to feel how connected all of us are. Like we're all one. I mean, everybody pretty much feels the same. They all have their dreams, they all have their passions, and they're all striving to make a difference in the world. And I think this song just, it basically is that. It's living your life on a dream. So this year has been a doozy. I mean, I almost lost my parents to COVID. Thank God I was able to still keep my job. And I mean, it's had its ups and downs. I mean, I am a grandma now, so that's a very great thing. but it definitely has made me want to get my dreams back out. It's making me want to just go after all of my goals and not be scared and not feel insecure about just putting it out there. So I am ready to make something happen, and hopefully I can help people along the way. I would love to inspire women to write music and play music and get it out there online. So that's kind of where my vision is going for the upcoming year. And I'm so happy that Carol contacted me. It was a nice call. So I'm going to play my song. And one thing I wanted to share too is that I have played guitar since 1998, and probably the last time I played out was Jefferson Point in 2017, and I did a concert for that was mostly women artists, and I just started becoming so bored of playing guitar. So, and my guitar has always been so big. So I went to Sweetwater, which is like a mistake. And I found this cute little ukulele. It's my baby. And it's small, and it has been so much fun to play. It's gotten me kind of out of my rut. So this is my first time performing live with my ukulele. So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute it. I had this all set up. And my husband just left, so I'm so glad because I didn't want him to be in here. Okay. This is called Life on a Dream, and this is a song that's part of the screenplay musical that is going to be heard throughout the story because it just has a great emotion to it.
You could be free, fall in life, be one.
very much. So I just wanted to share something. I don't need my microphone. So I was in my kitchen, and that's where I do a lot of my studying. And I get this letter in the mail. Can you hear me okay? Do you want me to talk on my microphone, or can you hear me okay? Okay. Okay. So can you guys hear me better now? Okay.
Yeah, some of us need to turn our hearing aid up a little bit. I'm sorry.
So I'm like really, really studying goals and improving myself and just self-image and trying to get my confidence up so I can go out and make a difference, because I really have a lot of just nervous to be around people, and I got to get through that. So I get this letter in the mail, and it was from a religious organization, and I looked at it and I was like, it's addressed to my daughter, and I'm not going to read it. So it sat there for a couple of days, and I ended up opening it, and it was pretty good information. It spoke to me. So I want to read just like a little paragraph in this letter, because it really hit home. So let me find it. Okay. So this part really made me feel good about it. I'm going to try to read it every day, but it says, it's time for you to set new goals in your life. You cannot be happy with life unchanged. The new goals I am helping you establish can remove apathy. You are being set free from the feeling of inadequacy, and a new enthusiasm is being created. This may in turn release and regenerate power into your spirit. So, if you have something, a dream that you've been just putting off, or it's, you just keep wishing it would happen. I just feel like this is the year to make things happen. Women empowerment. So thank you for having me here, and I can't wait to get this going. I think I've really missed having IWD together, so let's keep it going. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Carol, and all the organizers for putting this together. I'm so moved and so touched to see all the connections among us, and to see old friends that I haven't seen in person anyone hardly for a year, but just see old friends that I haven't seen for many years. And I don't know if you can see the pictures behind me. That's that one over that shoulder is 7 Sisters, and this one is called Singing the Corn, I think. Those are 2 beautiful paintings by Kathy Mowry, who was in the procession of women of Miami Friend. So I love those paintings, and I thought that would be fun to share. So this is what I'm going to read from. I think that might be backwards. It's a book called Crossing Stones. It's set in 1917. And so, of course, during that time, that was just before the last pandemic, and that actually comes into the end of the book a little bit. I'm not going to read about that, but it's also the women were trying very hard to get the vote, and World War I was claiming the lives of untold numbers of men. So this book is about 2 sisters and 2 brothers who live across the creek from each other. And one of the brothers goes off to war and is killed. I'm just giving you a couple of little details that without trying to spoil the book in case any of you ever read it, but his name is Frank. So you'll hear his name in one of the poems I'm reading. And then Muriel is the main character, the one who's pictured here on the front with her suffragist banner. And the first poem I'll read is Muriel as a student in high school, kind of claiming her, I wouldn't, maybe rebelliousness or independence from what is expected of her. So this is called My Crooked Mind. You'd better straighten out your mind, young lady. That's what the teacher, Mr. Sander, tells me, as if I could stretch the corners of my thoughts like you'd pull a rumpled quilt across a bed in an attempt to make it look like no one slept there. No one ever woke up screaming from a nightmare or lay there sweating till their fever broke. Everybody scared they'd die, but then they didn't. They got up and made the bed. My mind sets off at a gallop down that twisty road, flashes by, young lady. Here's the accusation in it, as if it's a crime just being young, and lady is what anyone can see I'll never be, no matter how I try, and it's obvious that I'm not trying. It's history class, which, as far as I can tell, they might as well call war class. All those battlefields and generals and secretaries capitalized like that. Not secretaries like Aunt Vera, who works for the city of Chicago and travels on her own with money she has saved even after she has purchased both the hat with 3 red feathers and the one of deep blue wool that's lined with silk. No, the secretaries whose names we have to memorize for Monday's test are important people. Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of the Interior. In other words, men. Which is my mistake to point that out. Why is it, Mr. Sander, that in real life, secretaries are always women, but here in school, all the ones we learn about are men? It's a perfectly reasonable question, but everybody turns to stare, first at me, then at the teacher's blaze of anger. Miss Jorgensen, are you being smart with me? How do you answer a question like that? No, I'm not, or yes, I am. Either way just gets you in the same place, only deeper. I try for middle ground. Maybe I am, I say. Maybe I'm not. Trying to decide what it might mean to be smart like Aunt Vera and express my own opinions compared to what it means when Mr. Sanders says it. I keep on thinking back and forth along those crooked lines while he is giving me a talking to I barely hear until he gets to that last line. I'd better straighten out my mind. No, thank you, Mr. Sir Secretary, Reverend General, Your Honor. I think, but do not say. I like the way my mind meanders like the creek that flows into the northern tip of Reuben Lake, out the southwest side into the Little Betsy River, and on from there to who knows where, until eventually it joins the wild sea. And in this next poem, I'm going to read, it's called Rocking, and Muriel is talking with her mother. Her mother would like to see Muriel and Frank to get, matched up as these 2 sisters and 2 brothers. The mothers are sort of imagining them as couples. But Frank has been killed in the war by this point, and Muriel's feelings about him are ambivalent. Rocking. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world, Mama says, by which she means I should be content to learn the women's work that she and Mrs. Norman do so smoothly, anyone would think there's nothing to it. Until a day like today, when I almost burned the house down making 11 pints of strawberry jam, how should I know paraffin can catch fire so easily? I ignore my burning hand and rush to the creek for a bucket of cold water, only to discover that water fans the flames instead of putting out this kind of fire. I'm never going to get married, never, I burst out. Mama tries to quiet me. No one's talking about. It's a good thing it happened on a Sunday when I'm at home. She thinks I can be soothed and smothered. Lost my place. She thinks I can be smooth, soothed, and smothered like the fire she extinguishes so quickly, so competently, it doesn't even burn the blanket she puts over it. Where did Mama learn to do that? She smiles her sweetest, most infuriating smile as she wraps a bandage around my blistered hand. Women influence the world in quiet ways, she says. We keep peace in our families and raise our children to be decent, honest people. Decent, honest, frank. But what good does that do, I argue, if your decent, honest children are sent off to fight and maybe die in a war someone else started, and all the girls and mothers in America have no way of stopping? She holds my bandaged hand, pushes a strand of hair from my flushed face. I don't know the answer to that question, she finally admits. She studies me. Maybe you won't rock a cradle, Muriel. Some women seem to prefer to rock the boat. She speaks gently, thoughtfully. There's truth in what she sees and says, but her words sting like yellow jackets flying from a nest I don't know is there until I step right into it. So then this third poem, the last poem that I'll read is, Muriel has participated in a suffrage protest in Washington, D.C., and she's been knocked on the head, and her Aunt Vera, who she went to support to help, has been imprisoned, and I don't know how much you know about this, but they force-fed the women when they went on a hunger strike. So she's been on a hunger strike and force-fed, and this is when Muriel is going to see her as she comes out of prison. It's called We're Winning. The goose egg on my head has gone down. Ruby and I wait with Mrs. Ellis at the prison gate. I'm telling them about Aunt Vera. When she comes to visit, she always brings a book for me, a toy for Grace. She brings Ollie chocolates and something practical for Papa, a handsaw or a box of nails. For Mama, she finds a new hat or dress, the latest fashion from Chicago. Mama always says, "Oh, I could never wear something so flamboyant, Vera. You keep it, it looks better on you." But in the end, Mama usually keeps the gift. Sometimes she even wears it. I'm smiling at these memories, picturing Aunt Vera getting off the train last Christmas in her blue wool coat and matching hat, sweeping me up into a big hug. Here she is. What does Mrs. Ellis mean? Here who is? I see the prison gates swing open. The woman who walks toward us on the arm of a prison matron is so thin, her coat is hanging off her shoulders. Her hair is limp and oily, tied back with a filthy scarf. Only when she leaves the matron and comes to take my arm do I recognize Aunt Vera flashing her familiar smile with the words, "We're winning." So, thank you, Carol, and everyone for this wonderful day. Can I just say one quick funny story? I was telling my husband that I was going to be doing this, and I said, I'm going to be speaking on this program with a whole bunch of awesome women. And one of the women that I mentioned was Condra Ridley. And then a few minutes later, he said, "Did you say you're speaking tomorrow on a program with Oprah Winfrey?" I had to go back a little bit to hear how Condra Ridley had heard that as Oprah Winfrey. So I said, no, even better. Thanks, everyone.
So hi, I'm Emily Guerrero. Oh my goodness, I am so inspired. I'm so moved. I was brought to tears on the music of We Have Dreams, and I'm just so blessed in this moment. And glad to be part of this presentation and be inspired as we wrap up the month of March and we talk about it being Women's Her Story Month. It's our story every day, I believe. And my lead in today is that we are our ancestors' dreams come true. And that when I think about how far my grandmothers came to bring me to this moment, and the work that I have to do in this garden of life so that my granddaughters and their grandchildren have a path forward or wherever they want to go, sideways, backward. I'm now that grandmother. And so we are the ancestors' dreams come true. And when I look back to the earliest grandmother that I introduced to through stories, my grandmother in San Antonio, Texas, who was born in the 1870s, 1880s, she died in the last pandemic in 1918. And she left my grandmother and her sister and 5 other children, but my grandmother was the youngest and she was a teenager. Her mother died, and she was placed in an arranged marriage because the depression and all of those things made it hard for families to make ends meet. So not happy in that marriage, she took flight. She fell in love with my grandfather and ran away, courageously went to reclaim her own life and future. And I'm the only grandchild that she told the story to because she lived with shame and guilt that she had left to strike out on her own and start her family with a man she truly loved and wanted to be with and have children with. But she made me promise not to tell anyone the story until after she died. But she felt it was important that we knew. So my grandmother, small town of San Antonio, World War II started. Her sons are off to war. My grandfather and her moved to Chicago so they could be close to the Red Cross of America to be in contact with her sons. And brings my mother and her little brother, who my mother was 12. And now we're generationally in an urban metropolitan city. And they couldn't possibly, they expected my mother to behave like the girls in Texas and follow the guidebook and, you know, settle down, get married, raise family, let the man lead. And in the meantime, my sister's growing up in the my mom's growing up in the 1940s and 50s and big band music and jazz and jitterbugging and oh no way was she going to go and be that girl from San Antonio that was expected to stay home. My mother went off exploring the city, met my dad, fast forward 4 daughters. I'm number 3 out of 4 daughters. And I repeated the pattern. They wanted me, my dad said, you just need to stay home, get married, have children. And I was like, no, I want to go to high school. I want to graduate. I want to go to college. And he was like, get your head out of the dream, out of the sky. And my teachers used to call me a daydreamer. And I'm thinking, you know I'm not fit out for that life. I can do that, you know, I can get married, I can have children, I can cook and sew and clean and home engineer and all those things, but I can also go to school and get an education. And it took me 12 years as an adult to go part-time, go weekends, go evenings, go summers, and acquire my degree from IU. But it was something I was not going to let go of. I was hanging on to the fringes of that dream as fiercely as I could so that I could fulfill my inner passion and lead the way for these next 5 generations. If Abuela Emily did this, I can do this. And so when I think about how far my ancestors came and what my responsibility is as a woman, and to have had the opportunity to travel and to complete my education and to continue to grow and to be amongst great women like yourselves, to live in a city with diversity and know that inclusiveness and diversity is rich, that it's a tapestry full of weaving and color and texture and sights and sounds and smells, and, you know, to have blues and rock and roll and to listen to polka and to, you know, rock, just jam with the best and go to concerts at, you know, outdoors at Chicago Bears field. I never went to a Chicago Bears game. I went to go see Electric Light Orchestra there in Carlos, Indiana. And to have all the excitement of growing up in a metropolitan city and all the museums right by me, you know, to have just my hangout to be the Art Institute of Chicago and the Chicago Field Museum and the best cultural libraries. And it just was an amazing experience. And then I fell in love with Rick and I moved to Defiance, Ohio. And I went to this little town where everybody knew everybody. They all went to school together and they knew each other's uncles, aunts, cousins, and I kept questioning things like, well, why aren't you doing this? Or why are women not doing that? And they would look me up and down and say, and where are you from? Why are you asking these questions? I was like, because something's not right here and things need to change. So, you know, I was ever the questioner, and I'm so grateful for all the great mentors in my life who were not only my grandmothers, my aunts, my cousins, my teachers, my after school program tutors, all the women I met along the way in my Upward Bound program who were strong African-American women. I met the Native American women from the North Side who were taken off the res and brought to the urban setting, and we were all struggling to find our identity and shamed along the way. You know, why are you speaking Spanish? And you're in America now. And, you know, and I thought, holy smokes, I'd walk into my grandmother's house and she'd say, no entras si no hablas español. You can't come in unless you speak Spanish. And I would say, well, I don't know all the words. And she'd say, I'll teach you. So everything I wanted had to be said in Spanish, and she would say it in Spanish and I had to repeat it. And then I would get my milk, I would get my cookies, I would get my tortilla. And because she insisted that I learn Spanish, she taught me my alphabet, my numbers, and told me that those teachers in school did not know what they were talking about, that I needed to know Spanish. And I was like, all right, you know, I'll take it. I'll go with it. Gave me my first job where I was a bilingual dental assistant, which gave me professional wages. And I went to San Francisco, and because I was bilingual, I had earned a job with one of the best crown specialists in the city of San Francisco, which gave me more professional wages. I traveled, and bringing that language along with me, it allowed me opportunities that I otherwise might not have had I listened to those teachers who told me I shouldn't be speaking Spanish and that I should be ashamed of my tacos, you know, and I'm like, all these mixed messages I was getting. Thank goodness for the Dolores Huerta from United Farm Workers, first vice president of any union in America, who said, yes, we can, si se puede. A mother of 10 children, and still she was out making a difference and saving the world that she saw needed to be saved was the agricultural workers, protecting them. And the Joy Harjos and the Frida Kahlos and the Wilma Mankiller and Clarissa Pinkola Estes and Winona LaDuke. I needed to see people like me. Not that I don't appreciate all that the Eleanor Roosevelts and all the other women of the world, the Maya Angelos, I needed to see me too. And thank goodness that I could find them, thanks to women's history programs, thanks to, you know, PBS, however I was able to find them. I'm so grateful because they inspired me and lifted me up even further than what my grandmothers were saying, si se puede, yes, you can. So with all of that I learned through my elders, my peers, my mentors, the littles, because I'm inspired by those littles, the children who remind us to play, sing, jump, dance, and dream. We really are a tapestry. We really are stronger together, more colorful together, more interesting together. And I'm so pleased to be in Fort Wayne, which is such a vortex of, look at all those beautiful women in that procession. Oh my God, it was just incredible. And I was so pleased to be invited to be a part of that. I just am grateful. So I want to introduce you to my grandmothers. And this is Nicolasa. On this side of the picture, she's my grandmother. This is her sister, Jesucita. And you can see her hair just out here on the edge, how much hair she had. They flipped a coin when they took this picture to see who would get the white lace dress with the big bow hat and who would end up with this rather brown hat and textile suit coat. And my grandmother won that flip of the coin. But Nicolasa is my shiro. She's the one who had not settled for an arranged marriage and ran away. This is my paternal great-grandmother, Euphemia, who remembers coming over from Spain in a ship with her family who were gypsies. This is my grandmother, Maria Soto, who is the mother of 12 children. This grandmother had 7. My mother had 4 daughters. And I have granddaughters. I'm so happy to be part of this amazing family and how much they worked, sacrificed, and taught us because, you know, no washing machines, no microwaves. I learned to wash clothes with a scrub board and a porcelain tub and hang those clothes on a clothesline so that I could be a functional woman at all costs when we get down to no electricity. They taught me how to plant my own food and grind my own corn and to make food from scratch. And they taught me faith. But for most of the Catholic tradition that I was brought up with, you can see the Madonna behind me. Can you see her over my head? Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, also wrote this book, Untie the Strong Woman. And to me, I love the way she's got her chin up and she's radiating radiance with attitude. She's not looking downward as most Madonnas, they're always looking down and their hands are in prayer. I love how this beautiful woman has her makeup done. She has her beautiful shawl with shimmering stars, and it's Untie the Strong Woman. And you know, that's exactly what happened to me. And although there are people who want to challenge who we are and our uniqueness and our diversity and our ancestries, I think it's so important that we help to lift each other up and the children, because now we have children who are Afro-Latino. My grandchildren are Caucasian Latinos, and they say, well, I'm half white and I'm half Mexican. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. You are fully all the ancestry that your mother brings to you through European ancestry. Embrace all of that, and you are fully indigenously Latinx, Mexica, and you are twice as powerful because you have all these ancestors and all these traditions that you bring to the table. You are no, you are full. And you are abundant and you are overflowing. So I try and encourage these next generations, do not be confused. You are not half of anything. You are more than everything. You are amazing. So I want to end with a happy little story about the importance of being multilingual. I want to tell you the story about this mama mouse who was in the kitchen. She was cooking up a little storm for her family, and she told her little mice children, stay right in front of the house. Don't you leave the front of this mouse hole. This is where you play and don't wander off. So they were playing around, and they looked over and they saw a cat was sleeping. And they were like, let's go play a joke on the cat. Let's go over there and play a joke on that cat. And they went over there and like, nee. And then they ran back to their cubby hole, their mouse hole. And then they went back over there and nee. And the cat opens one eye, looks, and they went running back. And then they went back over there, nee. And the cat pounced up and went to chase them. And they went running back to the house and they were frozen against the wall. They were like, oh. And they were screaming. And Mama Mouse came out and looked, and she was like, rah, 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 rah. And the cat took off running. And she said to her children, it's very important that you learn more than one language. So with her dog bark, she was able to send that cat running and save her children from danger. So that's the importance of being bilingual. And I want to thank you so much for inviting me to be here with all of you phenomenal women today. And I look forward to continuing to having our paths merge and support one another in all the different ways that we can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. It was so lovely, so lovely. And we still had one more thing that we probably don't have time for, so we're going to flip it up. Our friend Karen Skold sent a beautiful painting that was her tribute. See that painting there? We're calling it Our Grandmother. So appropriate for what the stories that Emily just told. So we wanted to do a silent auction, but we'll be here too late. So we're going to do it over email. We have your email. And if you'd like to contribute to a silent auction for this, you'll be given some instructions. The painting will be sent to you from Nyköping, Sweden, where Karen lives. And the proceeds for whatever we raise will be donated to Community Harvest Food Bank. Everybody, mothers and their children need food right now, families, single women, single men, everybody needs food, and the food banks are asking people to donate. Karen Skoll is my dear friend since 2018, and she is the illustrator for my book, my second book, Mama Joe's Kitchen. So there you have it. Now I'll turn it back over to Ngozi, and we will do some sharing just for a couple of minutes because we don't want to keep you all afternoon. But thank you all for being here, and I love all of you.
Hi, everyone. This is Ngozi Rogers. Hey, Bobby Iwobi. How about you physically put your hand up and I will open your mic and you can ask a question. The first hand that I saw is that of none other than Marcia Smiley. Marcia, will you unmute yourself for your question, your comment, or share about your thoughts on women's history?
Well, I wanted to salute my mom today, and I want to say a poem she wrote, and it's not very long. She worked at Magnavox, and Carol will tell you this, 33.1 years, and she loved her job and being able to provide for herself. And she joined Toastmasters, and you know, that's a lot of businessmen, and she fit right in. And she got her GED when she was 47, and I just really think a lot of my mom. Anyway, the name of the poem is The Seed. The seed is such a little thing, yet it is so great. Once it's planted in fertile soil, it grows at such a rapid rate. If we were to dissect the seed, and yes, minutely too, the naked eye would never see the beauty. Time would bring it through. So the potential of the seed is nature's greatest pride. That's why we must with patience wait to really know what beauty is inside. Gladys O. Wilson. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for reminding us of your mother and where you come from. Mothers are very, very important, as we all know.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Who else would like to speak? Eunice, I'm going to ask you to unmute your mic.
Thank you very much, and hello, everyone. I really appreciate the invitation. It was very, very nice. And I just wanted to share with everyone that I recently completed a story about a phenomenal woman here in Indiana. It's in a book form, and I just wanted to share that just so folks knew about it. I put a link in the chat for anyone who might be interested, and just thank you very much for all the work that you did on this. It was great. I really, really appreciate it.
In the great African tradition, will there be others? Please physically raise your hand so that I can see you if you don't mind. I see Bobby Iwobi, if you will unmute yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I just like to take this time to say thank you to my mom and my grandmother. They are my sheroes. My grandmother only had a second, third grade education. She had to stop going to school so she could help her family with bills and things in the house. But she raised 8 children. Her husband died when my mom's youngest sister was a child. And so she raised those children, and she would check their homework. She would do all of this with the second and third grade education. And they didn't know that she didn't know, but that's the reason why they did it correctly. And so she's always been an inspiration to her children. My mom was the oldest daughter. There was 8 kids, 6 sons, 2 daughters, and Jamia Louise Marlene Alderman lived here in Fort Wayne. My mom was here in Fort Wayne as well. And they are all phenomenal women in the church, outside of the church. And I just want to give a shout out to my mom, Shirley Taylor, who has gone on to be with the Lord. But I appreciate the invitation. Thank you very much, Miss Lena Green. And thank you, Ngozi, for being a part of this presentation. I did a play on it's Indiana's second jurisdiction. I kind of wrote it and pulled it together. And so it's very amateur, but you can go to Indiana's second jurisdiction Facebook page and find that the video, and it's called Pioneering Women. And then it's about the women who helped build and establish churches in my denomination. So if you have a chance, go look at Pioneering Women on the Indiana Second Jurisdiction Facebook page. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Bobby. Will there be others? Oh, I see Ms. Brabson. If you will unmute yourself, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so overjoyed for this occasion of being with all of you this last hour. And I am emotionally moved by Carol and all the things that she continues to do, not surprising. And the stories that were shared today, they will be very well kept in my memory bank. And I just want you all to know that I am lifting you up and praying for all of you and your endeavors that you will keep doing. Proud of you. And I'm proud to be a woman. Thank you.
I see that Angela Baker has her hand up.
Okay, I just started working for Habitat for Humanity, and my executive director has the approval to get home repair grants, and she is the only one in the state of Indiana that is doing this. So it is for homeowners, low income, and it's up to $7,500, and it will help with roof repairs, with furnace, air conditioner. And I told her I wanted to advertise it. She's like, no, don't do it. We'll get too busy. So I'm advertising it. So if you get on our website, it's HFHNEI, and I'll post it in the chat.com. And if you go to programs and you go to the bottom, it has all the information, and then they will just have to call and we'll get all the information and get them set up. There's also an opportunity for another grant that you can also get up to $10,000. Like if you needed a walk-in bathtub or you needed accessibility for wheelchair. So it is a great program. My boss did over $250,000 last year to help people, and she can go all over the state of Indiana. It doesn't have to just be in our area. So I wanted to share that. So if you know somebody, send them our way and we'll get them helped out. So, and thank you everybody. This was a lot of fun.
Ngozi, I wanted to share something that was just put up in the chat. This is from Tom Butler. When I pause to reflect on my 76 years of life, it is very clear that the time and effort spent in support of women's causes through the through the support of my incredible wife, Carol, are the ones that mean the most to me and are most likely to endure beyond my finite existence. Most humbly, Tom. I hadn't read it all, but I just wanted to share that with everyone. He did write it to everyone in the chat. If there's not a lot of more, just one second. Are there other people that wanted to chat, Ngozi?
I am not seeing. Oh, Bobby Mustafa. Hi.
Bobby is
you.
in Sierra Leone.
Hello. Yes, I am so sorry. I forgot it's 4 hours difference instead of 5, and I missed almost the whole thing.
Oh.
I was trying to come, but anyway, what I heard was awesome, and it's good to see everybody's faces. Of a lot of people that I actually recognize. So hi to all these different people, and
hi, Bobby.
Good to see Fort Wayne people.
Yay!
So,
yay!
We're coming home in 2 weeks.
We'll be glad to see you. We'll be glad to see you. Excellent. Thank you. So good to see you. So can we end with that wonderful song that Melina suggested, One Woman?
Performing One Woman, Graham Lyle and Clay.
We are one.
Bye, Muncie.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you all. There's Sarah.
Goodbye, Miss Carol. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Goodbye, Carol.
Bye, Marcia.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye, Miss Marcia.
Much love to everyone. Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily.
Emily, I don't see you, but I still remember your tribute to your grandmothers.
And there's Tom Butler. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Carol.
There's the man himself, Mr. Tom. All right now, hey.
Rita Goers. I don't know.
Yeah. Hi.
How are you? Do you live
I'm
in
good.
Fort Wayne, Rita?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining.
I worked with Marcia Smiley.
Yeah,
I don't know
hi,
if you remember.
Rita. I do. I remember you, Rita.
Yeah. Oh,
Thanks for being here.
I have great respect for you. You're a wonderful person. And it's everybody. Whether I know you or not, you're all wonderful.
Great. I want to say, I can't say enough about Ngozi and Mary coming together to help put this on. What a bounty. Thank you so much, Ngozi. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.